If you like this video, click like. If you want to continue to follow our adventure, hit subscribe. Your support would be greatly appreciated. Hello, the House on the Road subscribers and followers. Well, you know what today is, don't you? Yep, Friday. You know what that means, don't you? Yep, it's Easy 5 Friday. Today's topic is 5 reasons not to live in a pop-up camper in free campsite. Before I get started, it's like I almost have to have a disclaimer now. I am not complaining. This is what I do for a living. Just the other day, I made a video, posted a video that I got a lot of feedback saying, if all you're going to do is complain, why do you live in this pop-up camper? And the funny thing was, I wasn't complaining. They watched like the first 3 minutes of the video and said I was complaining and shut it off. If they'd have watched the entire video, they would have seen how much I loved what was happening. So I thought it was funny. But no, I promised you guys that I would give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's get started. Number 1, amenities. Things like showers, water, bathroom. The shower, obviously, we have to use the shower tent, and it's not always convenient. I mean, we got this great water heater now, and man, it works wonderful. But when it is chilly, when it gets down to 50 degrees, it gets kind of difficult to take a shower. Now, we did it very well, very easily, when we were in Missouri with an endless supply of water, which made things a lot easier because I could just turn on the hot water, and the hot water warmed the shower tent. But when you don't have an endless supply of water, you got to shut it off, turn it on, shut it off. You soap up, rinse off. In between that, you shut it off. And that's when it gets very chilly. So no, it's not always convenient to take a shower. And another thing that I've noticed that Carolyn struggles with is if the campground is full, she doesn't like to take a shower because she's always worried that somebody's watching her. So water, you have a limited supply of water. Now, we try to find campsites as much as possible that has water. Makes things a lot easier. The water here is probably 100 feet away. We go fill our buckets whenever we need water. It's not too bad. But if you have to drive to go get your water, it becomes much more difficult. You're always on conservation mode, so water is an issue. Now, finally, bathrooms. Again, we find a lot of campsites that have privies, which is nice. It is very nice, except they can get pretty nasty pretty quick. So you're usually always cleaning the bathrooms. Anytime you want to use the bathroom, you're always cleaning it because it does not take long. It usually takes about one person to go in there, and they've made a mess of things. So, or if you don't have bathrooms, then you're using your old bucket style, which I've talked about in the past. So, yeah, amenities, that can be a reason not to want to come out here to live in a pop-up camper in a free campsite. Number 2, these national forest campgrounds are usually a good distance from town, at least 30 miles to town, which means when you go to town, you got a 60-mile round trip. I just did a calculation on 40 miles. You got an 80-mile round trip. With gas prices right now at $2.50, that's $7.60, I think it was, just to go back and forth to town. That's pretty expensive. So if you're doing that quite regularly, 4 times a month is reasonable. But if you're having to go to town, several times a week, that adds up real quick. Number 3, condensation inside the camper. Due to the fact that we have to use a Mr. Heatable portable buddy, which is a propane heater, and now propane I don't believe causes condensation. What happens is when it's cold and kind of wet outside, rainy, wet, even fog, condensation will build up inside the camper, usually on the bunkins, and it drips. So you got to cover everything up. The other thing is it causes mold, and you're always fighting the mold. We're always cleaning the bunkins, always. Number 4, internet and cell phone. look, I mean, I get that every time I say internet and cell phone, you know, you get people saying, well, I don't need internet and cell phone. If you're living in a pop-up camper in the modern era, I think you're going to need internet and cell phone. I just can't imagine anybody living in a pop-up camper not needing that at some point. Just use this as an example. I get injured, okay? And Carolyn has to get a hold of an ambulance. What is she going to do? Is she going to pick me up, put me in the truck with her bad back, and take me to the nearest cell phone signal so she can make a phone call to the ambulance? So you get the point that at least for emergencies you're going to need a cell phone. When you're out here in the National Forest, very difficult to get a hold of. Very difficult. Number five. Lack of authorities or enforcement of the rules in your campsites. And this is a problem. It's a real problem. I see rules being violated all the time, and nobody does anything about it. The rangers, I think, are on such a limited budget that they don't come around as often as they used to when they made the rules. For example, trash. I see trash everywhere I go. Just the other day, I picked up a bunch of trash over here in the center of the island of this campsite. Picked up a bunch of it. A bunch of campers came the next day, and all of a sudden, when they left, there was trash all over the place. So what that means is you have to understand not to let it upset you. You have to just bite your tongue or either leave. I guess if it got too bad and you weren't willing to deal with it, you could call the ranger, but I'm not entirely sure they would come out. There was only one place that I saw that really enforced the rules, and that was in Kentucky. They did a really good job at the Daniel Boone National Forest. But every other national forest, they literally, the rangers come in, well, it's actually the ranger service, they come in, they change the toilet paper rolls, and they leave, and that's about it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Click like if you like the video, and happy travels.